Welcome to your WebQuest with Dr. Chloe and Dr. Liana as we travel around the world to increase our knowledge about earthquakes and their impacts.
Our learning focus. We'll be exploring earthquakes and the impacts it can have when one occurs. Can another natural disaster occur once an earthquake does? If so, why and how? What evidence can you find for the reason behind that? Our learning intention. We are learning to explore what an earthquake is, investigate if something else can occur after an earthquake, recognize what locations are mostly affected by earthquakes and why is this, understand the effect and impacts this natural disaster can have on the environment, animals, and individuals. Our success criteria. I can understand what an earthquake is and the impacts it can have on the environment, animals, and people. Research and jot down important information that I find in my science journal. Know where earthquakes occur mostly and why this is, and use the information I find to create a poster on earthquakes. Our WebQuest connects to two major aspects of the curriculum, the first being Earth and space science, more specifically, sudden geological changes or extreme weather conditions that can affect Earth's spaces. The other curriculum connection is geographical knowledge, more specifically investigating a significant event such as a severe earthquake. So our cross-curriculum priorities and general capabilities. Throughout the majority of this WebQuest, students will be both communicating and investigating using a wide variety of ICT resources. When investigating using ICT, students can define and plan information searches, locate, generate, and access data and information. The general capability is relevant to this lesson directly relates to the cross-curriculum priority of sustainability. In this cross-curriculum priority, students learn the different cause and effect relationships that are present in the natural environment, in addition to the ways in which certain events, such as earthquakes, can be predicted using several scientific methods. There are three major assessment types. These are diagnostic, formative, and summative. The first piece of assessment we'll be collecting is diagnostic. At the beginning of the lesson, students will record and recall facts they already know about earthquakes and the consequences of them. At the conclusion of the lesson, students will engage in a reflection period and write down these reflections in their writing books. The next will be formative. This will be to demonstrate what they already know and understand and move their learning forward. Students will research earthquakes using the ICT resources provided to complete the provided worksheet that shows their established findings during the WebQuest. The last piece of assessment is summative. At the end of the WebQuest, students' understandings will be evaluated against the rubric as they work in pairs to create and present a poster about a major earthquake that has occurred internationally and its consequences both to natural and man-made environments.
Okay, scientists, let's get into why we're on this WebQuest today. The government has actually reached out to Dr. Liana and I, and they have said that it's predicted that an earthquake of a huge magnitude is due to hit Australia in the future. This earthquake is predicted to have devastating impacts on our country. So what is your role as scientist? Your job is to travel to an international country that has recently experienced an earthquake. You must gather important information about how earthquakes occur and the different impacts that they have on the environment. In addition, scientists must find out about other natural disasters that are sometimes created due to earthquakes. As you go on your travels and learn more about an earthquake that has happened in your chosen country, document your findings in a poster to present to your fellow scientists and the government. This will play an important role in creating a plan that will help to prepare for future earthquakes in Australia and its impacts. Once you have returned from your selected country, it is important that you look back on your travels and research and reflect on your trip in your journals. Our WebQuest is best connected to the Primary Connections 5E Inquiry Learning Model. This model focuses on instructors encouraging students to think and work scientifically by helping them collect and analyze their own evidence and share their ideas with others. In the engage phase, students' prior knowledge about earthquakes will be assessed and their interests will be captured using a prompt to guide them on your WebQuest. In the explore phase, students will participate in a lesson about the effects of earthquakes and how they are measured. Following this, in the explain portion, students will be required to represent and explain their understandings about earthquakes onto a worksheet which we have supplied for you. During the elaborate phase, students will collaborate with a partner to investigate and share knowledge about a recent earthquake in a classroom presentation. Finally, students will reflect on their learning about earthquakes using prompts to guide their responses in their journals in the evaluate phase. So here we have our process for our WebQuest. I'll read it out to you. Scientists will firstly share with their peers the knowledge that they have already learned about earthquakes, followed by an informative video that Dr. Liana and I will show you that will help in scaffolding knowledge. Then, using the links which have been provided to you, you must explore how earthquakes occur and the consequences that follow them, including other natural disasters that can sometimes occur because of them. To then document your newly found research, you will then use the worksheet provided, which will have some questions that you'll need to answer. You are then to work together in pairs to create and present an informational poster about a recent international earthquake, as well as its effects on the environment around it. So your first task is to turn and talk to a fellow scientist about how you would define what an earthquake is. Following this, we are going to watch a video which discusses how we measure earthquakes, its impacts, and the terminology we use when we discuss measuring earthquakes. Your second task will be to fill in the worksheet provided here for you and use your emerging ICT skills to watch a video on your iPads about earthquakes. You will then complete the worksheet about the new insight into earthquakes that you have gained. Following this, you will pair and share with a fellow scientist about the most interesting new piece of knowledge that you have learned. You can either access this video by scanning the QR code below on your iPad or click the link to watch it. In your partner activity, you must pair up with a scientist of your choosing to create an informative poster all about a major earthquake that has occurred in an international country in the last 5 years. This earthquake must have exceeded a magnitude of 6.0. Use the websites below to inform your research, then make a presentation that is creative and runs for about 3 to 5 minutes with your partner. You must then also find 2 websites or articles to use in your presentation that relate to the specific earthquake that you have chosen. You must include the following in your presentation: the name of your chosen earthquake and its magnitude, how the earthquake occurred and how long it lasted, natural impacts and impacts to human life that occurred from it, and any natural disasters that occurred from it. Please make sure that any additional websites that you use, in addition to the ones that we provided for you, are referenced. Here is a rubric that we will be using to evaluate your presentations. You'll be assessed on the following criteria: research, understanding, presentation, and collaboration. Your reflection at the conclusion of the lesson will also contribute toward the evaluation of the new knowledge that you have gained. You'll all get a copy of this rubric, and please make sure that you read through it carefully before you begin your presentation. To conclude our research and travel journey, it is important that you debrief in your writing journal about it. At the end of the lesson, you are to use the following prompts to help guide your reflection about your travels. What is an earthquake? How do they happen? What is something new you learned about earthquakes? What was your favorite part of your travels and why? And what was one thing that you would change about your travels for next time?